Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. I greet you how I always greet you, LBB for Hodier. Today is January 22nd, 2022. I'm still adjusting to that. And today I want to talk about, I'm going to be doing some different videos coming up. But today I want to talk about, obviously from my type, suicide, depression, and helping those who suffer. And not just in to me seeing the actress Regina King's son, who apparently committed suicide. I don't know much details about that, so I'm not gonna go into it and pretend. I'm gonna just really respect what a family and a mother goes through and a father goes through. But what I will talk about is being a person that suffers and battles depression. Um, because a lot of time in this social media world, we always feel like we gotta always put on our Sunday best. Metaphorically speaking, like we always gotta sit down and act like our lives are, together. And that's not to say that you want to hear a person down and depressed and sad, but a lot of people you wouldn't think because sometimes like a negative stereotype that suicide or depression has a certain type of look, or a person chooses to be depressed, or it's something that a person can help and knock off. And none of those things are true. Suicide, you know, depression can look like happiness. That's the funny thing I want to say. Depression can look like happiness because the person is a lot of times, if speaking from me, you try to kind of cover it up. You try to put a game face on you because your friends, family, and whoever, they're always gonna try to talk you out of it when you're in the moment. So far, and then sometimes you can be around a person and they don't even understand you're depressed. I've literally been around a lot of people that were supposed to be spiritually in tune, all of these things, and they can't even recognize something wrong with you. So depression doesn't have this normal look that you would think. Um, with me, okay, it stems back from a lot of stuff personally with me. Um, always being judged for my condition. And what's funny is you have people that has never dealt with a condition, and I get it because we can build a house or we can build a mansion on cliches and sayings. And number one saying we always say when it comes to talking about having a disability or a condition, they'll say, well, the person that's not in those shoes will say, well, something is wrong with everybody. Everybody has something wrong with them. Everybody has a disability. All three of these are um, like these cliches that they like to throw at you. Everybody has something. And the thing about the cliche that gets on your nerves is that it's just a saying. Yes, somebody might have something. Everybody may have something wrong with them. That's true. Everybody, hey, greetings, how you doing? And what I'm talking about like suicide, depression. I'm talking about things of that nature. And I appreciate that person that comes in and speaks. Um, But what I want to get back to saying is the person that'll say everybody has something wrong with them. Okay, we are a visual people. Everybody, myself included. Everybody is visual. And I have this conversation that I have with one of my female friends, and and also some of my other friends. We'll talk about like who's more shallow between girls I mean, females and males. And to the conversation, it's to what you think. But me, obviously speaking from the male perspective, I'm going to say females because of what I deal with. Um, and a lot of times when people say, well, everybody got something wrong with them, by us being a visual people, you can't see a person that's schizophrenic. You can't see a person that's bipolar. You can't see a person that may have something internally wrong. But I have cerebral palsy. You can see it from a mile away. And instantly, females, they don't see this mentality. They have to really get to know me to really understand how brilliant I am. And I used to shy away from saying things like that about myself and saying I'm smart and brilliant. And that's another thing. We have to kind of own our stuff. But how smart I am, you have to really engage with me. And in this physical world, nobody wants to do that because it's instant gratification. It's instantaneous of how you doing. Do you stimulate me? If you say the wrong thing past a certain point, I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna say you all these things without ever really trying to work with people. So I'm saying all this to say is sometimes when you feel nobody loves, nobody accepts you. This is how that quote unquote devil energy works, because it gets in your ear and it gets in your mental space and it says, yeah, man, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care about you. See, they won't even answer the phone call, which is why I'm a big proponent of returning phone calls, returning messages of people, because we so busy in the rat race. And this is what I be talking about when we're talking about liberation and all of these things. You know, we'll say we want to liberate the minds of African people. We want to liberate the minds of Black people. But to liberate the minds, you have to deal with the depression, the turmoil that people go through, the day-to-day mental struggles. Everything is not always physical. The physical I could debate. I don't know, because I don't move fully in my physical. I mean, I have capabilities. I walk on my own. I don't need walking assistance. I drive, I cook, I clean. So I'm okay by certain standards of like what is really disabled and really need help. But some people, and that's just me, somebody that was born with a condition. So a lot of times you will never know what a person is going through. That's why sometimes you should just do random checks. Check up on a person. Hey, I don't want to. Hey, I ain't want nothing. I just want to see how you doing. Hey, just calling to check on you. You know, I hadn't heard from you. You know, you on my mind. That's why I live my life, and a lot of people, it's kind of hard for me to date, because a lot of the females in the programming, I speak from my heart. So sometimes I say too much, or I say too much too fast. And it comes from losing a lot of my people. I've lost a lot of my family members. I've lost darn near my entire family, which also plays into my depression. And it's something that it's an ongoing battle for me. I can't speak for everybody. It's an ongoing battle. A lot of days I kick it behind. A lot of days it got me in the headlock. So it's topsy-turvy like that. It's not something that I choose to sit around and I choose to be sad about my brother. I choose to be sad about my mom. That's not the case. That is what the outsider wants you to think. You know, everybody can tell you to get up and do these things, which they're trying to help you. But until you really get that mental blocker, you're stuck, from my opinion. You're kind of stuck with that mental blocker. How to deal. And so a lot of people, you need, they'll say a listening ear. I would debate you need listening ears. You need listening ears, because what can happen if a person is always kind of like down in a lower level energy, it can drain your energy. So we need people that are skilled and love to deal with people that are patient. You ever notice how we always say, and this is what makes it funny. Again, this is what makes it funny on a nation building tip, where we'll say, "Oh, I don't have patience. Oh, I'm very impatient. Oh, I don't have time for that." All of this stuff we speak because we say what we speak. We say all of these words have power, and what we speak, we manifest. So we're always talking about, like, especially in this day and age of, like, how do I want to call them? They're not like self-help gurus, but they're people that life coaches. And a lot of times they just lead you to not really getting you to focus on how to solve what you feel inside. If I'm making sense with what I'm saying. So a lot of times what I'm saying is we really you have to really love on your people. You have to take time with the person. A lot of things we can't figure out. We want everything kind of like, again, we want everything kind of instantaneous, microwave kind of like that. We want the guy to come in and we want him to say all the right things and do all the right things. We want the female to come in. We want her to say all. That's not true. Sometimes you got to really, if you care about a person, you have to help. You have to dig through that barbed wire, that kudzu, all these things that kind of like immerse them and wrap them. You got to think about it. We as Africans, we have been a tortured people. We can sit up here and debate the slave trade or the Ma'afa, because it wasn't a trade. We can debate the Ma'afa. We can debate all of these things. But we have to really, really think about what we have been really taken through. And did we ever get therapy, or did we ever get help for a lot of things that we went through? Think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying. So a lot of times, okay, we know when we talk about things from the other side, like when we speak about MK Ultra, and we'll talk about something like the nature of MK Ultra, and that is based on trauma-based mind control. So think about how one traumatic event can throw you off. Just one. Just one. Think about multiples. You get what I'm saying? How does that person get help? This is why we have to have places that people can heal. We have to learn to be patient with people. People have came away from genuinely caring for each other. Superficial interaction, status, and potential. Why do you think that, man? Why do you think that? That's true, though. That's true. S. Pitt. He says people have came, and excuse me if you're he or she, and I say the wrong thing. I just don't know. He says people have came away from genuinely caring for each other. Superficial interactions, status, and potential is what seems to be the driving force. Exactly. We don't care what's in a person's heart. Which is why I tell the people, I say, stop telling these young boys, good guys, nice guys finish last. Again, what we're speaking. Nice guys finish last. I'm a nice guy. I know what place I come in. But again, the why I say stop saying that to us, because as you're telling this young boy, or as this young boy is hearing this over and over, guess what he's going to try to adapt his personality to be? The opposite, because who wants to lose? So just think, you have a situation and people make you feel like you're unworthy. When a new kid comes to a school and they totally alienate that child. They don't want to play with them. They don't want to talk to them. Think about the effect that it does. Think about the fact that it does to them. You get what I'm saying? Think about how that child feels. Think about being an adult in a new atmosphere and people just shut you out. People are like, it goes back to what I'm saying. People are less patient. We don't have again, I don't have time. I don't have time. And what kills me is when I see a person with locks say they don't have patience. That is the funniest thing because it takes time. And now we got people that are instantaneous. We don't even want to grow out. We don't even want to grow out hair. We want to speed the process up. We want to have overnight locks. Things take time. Things take time. So a lot of times what we should do, like, and I would always say because I'm a person of solutions, so I would talk to my people and I would say, well, should we get like phone, a hotline going? And then you get the ones that say, well, you don't want to give out advice and you're not a licensed therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. You don't want to kind of mess around with people. Well, what are we going to do? What do we do when a person takes his or her life? Because nobody took the time to really talk to them for multiple reasons. I'm thankful I've never been a person that actually tried to carried it out and it was unsuccessful or successful. And then I think how we kind of get locked in this monolithic way of thinking is that when you tell somebody that you have been suicidal, it's kind of looked at as taboo, or it's kind of looked at as you're crazy. And I would debate, anybody that get in the comments, comment and tell me if I'm different. I would debate that majority, I would say 90% of people have contemplated or even thought about suicide. But we're so conditioned to not feel that way. It's real. I lost my brother at a young age. I lost my father at a young age. I lost my mom a couple of years ago. I had friends that I saw one day and left my house and never came back that was close to me. I had people that would be considered OGs or quote unquote mentors. That's a different word and I'm using it. But I had people that just really poured into me, was taken away. I can get that. Because you're right. I did kind of think about that because sometimes, again, like I said in the beginning, a lot of times suicide is a forced or a fake smile. Depression is a forced or a fake smile. So you really don't know. You know what I'm saying? To your point, yeah, you really don't even know how to help the people sometimes. But what about the person? Good question. But what about the person that really wants to talk and people say, man, I feel them. I really, you know what I'm saying? They kind of blow them off. Again, back to what I was saying earlier. That's why I'm a big proponent of answering the phone when a person calls. Calling that person back because you never know. You never know. And I guess what I want to say, and I hope people take away, that it's not, like I started off, it's not a certain type of look. It's not a certain way. You could be grinning one day and you could be hurting on the inside. I can remember being around numbers of people. Nobody even understood what I was going through on the inside. Because a lot of times what the person feels is like, if I tell the person, they're not going to care. Oh, and here's the kicker. So remember, if you go back and listen to a lot of my videos, I talk about me going through therapy. Okay, and going through therapy, now check this out. Insurance don't pay for it. Conversations need to be truthful. What you mean from like both parts? You mean conversations need to be truthful from both ends, or we need to have more truthful conversations like this? Because yeah, you know they do. They need to. We need to have. That's why I said, you know, we need to have. To me, in my opinion, um, let's see. Ah, tell them tell them why they need additional help because you exactly okay. So you really spoke to my point that I said earlier when I said you need listening ears because you're absolutely right. That one go-to person may not be able to help, may not because we have to put it in real time. You're absolutely correct. We have to put it in real time because people are busy. People do have their own issues. So this is where we kind of like need multiple numbers. We need kind of multiple friends. Ah, okay, I got you. Yeah, I got you. I got what you were saying, you know, from the other one. And like I said, that's real. Um, we do. We you know, you have to it has to be it has to be an effort. And a lot of times people will reject the help. Cause and it is, that's why I say it's kind of topsy turvy. What I was saying earlier, the water gets kind of muddy because a lot of times they reject help. But actually, I can remember being in this on this it was called mental dialogue. It was this course that it was this meeting I was in. And it was a group of therapists and it was a group of people. So I'm asking the people real lifetime. I'm saying, okay, if you're concerned about, you know, people or more importantly, the black community getting help because everybody said, well, you know, the person may need help. The person may need help. Okay, if the person doesn't have proper insurance, how do you how do we think they're supposed to get help? You know, because and then it's like, okay, so with that being said, I thought my insurance that I had covered my therapy. I found out this week that it doesn't. So I wasn't even able to continue. So it just left. And guess what that does? That contributes to back to the abandonment issues that I'm talking about. You know, so that's why I said a lot of these quote unquote YouTube personalities, they got to kind of tell the real within themselves. Like I said, I'm not saying sitting up here saying divulge all your information to talk about, but no, let people know you identify. You catch more people when you're relatable, when you speak real, as opposed to you sit up and you just figure that you all got it figured out, always have a good day. That's just not life. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I can't even, you know, what we saying is right. Yeah, we kind of saying the same thing, which is why it makes it so hard to help people through depression and suicide. Because I tell you, when I was, my mom passed away. She is coming up in two years on February 26th. So my mom passes away February 26th of 2020. When I say I got little to no help, no understanding. And that was a crucial time for me. You talking about being borderline suicidal? Zero. Of course, I have a small amount of people. I'll never dismiss or discredit them for being around. But the type of group support that we're talking about, I didn't get it because a lot of times people don't know how. So I think that there should be core. I think that we should do things. I think that we should teach people how to deal with people. I think that we should care more. I think that we should go the extra mile. Like you said, maybe you could take shifts with a person. But like you said, you'll be lucky to get a consistent one. And that's just the truth. Because we say, hey man, I got problems with my own, man, you know, shit. And you get that kind of stuff. So, you know, it kind of, you know, and I kind of, you know, like I said, I'm going to make a lot more. Yeah, but you know, man, Um, and I appreciate this dialogue. I appreciate this dialogue back and forth. But that's exactly what it is. I'm new to it, and guess what? Because when we were talking, I remember you from the Kwame Brown post. I remember exactly who you are. And when we were talking, some of the comment sections were saying, "Oh, you're a clout chaser," and all of these things. And this person actually went through my comments to say, "You've got 10 plus videos that nobody watched. And you've been here. I haven't made, this is the most consistent I've made videos because I'm starting to finally understand, how to make content. I'm just not a person that's going to get on here to make content or drop a person's name just to get there. I actually felt like Kwame Brown was a sucker. So that's why I titled the way. It wasn't that I was trying to tap into the algorithms or whatever they accuse you of. But I actually felt that way. But I kept it moving because he's not that important for me to keep going with my day to talk about what he does. But we have to be genuine. I stay away from them people that act like they got everything solved. Mm-mm. I stay away from those types because they can't help you because they ain't never been through nothing. Or they're scared to really divulge and talk about it. So how can we? I lost my father, but I got through it, and not even really sharing real jewels on how you got through it. So when I saw Regina King, when I saw it last night and they were talking about her son, it kind of bothered me. And I was going to actually do another video today, but I wanted to talk about this because her son was 26 years old, a young man with a bright, incredible future. And I'm sure he had all of the resources. Again, it's back to what you were saying. It doesn't care who your parents are. Exactly. Talk about the issue. Exactly. And attacking me and saying personal things about me, but address what I'm saying in it. Address what I'm saying in the video. Tell me why he didn't keep that same energy. So yeah, that's the habit that we have to do. We attack the person's character when we should be attacking the information. And a lot of times we attack the information when we should be attacking the character because a lot of times people are all screwed up. They don't know if they're walking or driving. So yeah, it wasn't to come in and say, yeah, I'm going to purposely put his name in here to get 1,000. You know, nobody was going to look at it like that. I made a lot. The other video I made that had pretty good views was the Tavistock Institute. I don't know if many people are on to the Tavistock Institute, but that's something that I talk about a lot, and that got pretty good views. So a lot of times with building this content, I guess I have to figure out what people want to hear. But this is stuff that's genuine. Not one time did I call him out his name. He was showing sucker behavior. And where we from, if you act like a sucker, even if it's me, they'll say, hey, man, and I don't do sucker behavior because I got decent people, good people around me. But even if I was to go that way, they'll say, hey, man, you kind of acting a little soft, or you acting like a little, whether I like it or not. But again, we're so soft so people can't say anything. Once a person is deemed as a person's hero, savior, or whatever, it's like you can't say anything negative. You're not allowed to say anything negative about LeBron James. You're not allowed to say anything negative about, and sometimes it's just an opposing view. But yeah, so it's just one of those things that we have to really start, making things relatable. We have to really start making things relatable for people. And we have to start really talking about stuff that people can use and not stuff that just people can talk about. So I appreciate it. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm going into 30 minutes. I try not to make such long videos. I appreciate the sit down. I appreciate the dialogue. Cause sometimes, hey man, I'm like this. I could use if somebody comes and I have 100 viewers, that's fine. But a lot of times, if I just got one person, this means I'm reaching one person. We get so caught up on how many viewers you got, how many numbers, because that's what the game and everything has been reduced to. The game of basketball has been reduced to numbers. This has been the game of football has been reduced to numbers. It's not about authenticity. It's not about compassion. It's not about love for people. It's not about love for the game. It's not about love for anything. It's about how many numbers do you have? Yeah. Sucker behavior. Yep. Sucker behavior. Now him, notice in the video I said, brother. I still was saying, yo, brother, they very sincere. I wasn't cussing and acting like that, but no, sometimes you have to kind of be hard on a person. But yeah, I'm approaching 30, man, and I appreciate it. So I leave you in the way I greeted you, in the words of a BB for Hodier, African liberation for African people. Peace.